breaking news for you.
Hi there, welcome to another episode of the Transfer Talk podcast.
What's up, Gunners? Welcome back to Gunners Central, your home for the latest Arsenal news, transfer updates, breaking stories, and in-depth analysis. If you're a passionate Gooner, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss any Arsenal updates. Now let's get straight into today's big story. Arsenal's summer transfer window has suddenly entered another fascinating phase. After strengthening midfield with Bruno Guimaraes and adding attacking and squad depth options, Mikel Arteta's priority has increasingly shifted towards solving a defensive problem that could become extremely serious at the beginning of the new season. William Saliba is facing a prolonged absence, Jurrien Timber is still working his way back from injury, and Arsenal therefore need another defender capable of handling the enormous demands of Premier League and Champions League football. That is where Aston Villa and England defender Ezri Konsa has entered the picture in a major way. Reports today have claimed that Arsenal's pursuit of Konsa has moved dramatically forward, with Football Insider describing the proposed transfer as 99% done and stating that negotiations are in their final stages. The reported agreement is expected to fall somewhere between £60 million and £65 million, while Konsa is said to have communicated his desire to move to Arsenal and personal terms are reportedly already agreed. However, Arsenal supporters should treat the 99% done language carefully. Transfer reporting can change quickly, particularly when negotiations involve a Premier League club that has little financial incentive to sell one of its most important players. Indeed, other reports published around the same time suggest the negotiations have been difficult because Aston Villa remain firm on their valuation. Arsenal have previously been reported to have offered substantially less than Villa's £60 million, plus asking price. That disagreement explains why this story is so important. Arsenal clearly want Konsa, but Andrea Berta and the club's hierarchy must decide how much they are willing to pay for a 28-year-old defender when alternatives are available. The reason Konsa has become such an attractive target is obvious. Arsenal needs someone who can step into the defensive structure without requiring months of adaptation. This is not simply about buying a centre-back because Saliba is injured. Arteta needs a defender who understands Premier League football, can defend large spaces, is comfortable in possession and can operate in multiple positions. Konsa ticks many of those boxes. He has accumulated extensive Premier League experience with Aston Villa and has also established himself internationally with England. He understands the physicality of English football and has played in high-pressure European matches with Villa. His ability to operate at centre-back and right-back makes him especially attractive to Arteta because Arsenal's injury situation extends beyond Saliba. Timber remains unavailable, while Ben White's fitness also needs to be managed carefully. That means Arsenal are not simply short of a central defender. They need defensive insurance across the right side as well. This is precisely why Konsa could make sense. Imagine Arsenal entering a crucial Champions League night with Gabriel Magalhaes and Konsa at centre-back. Imagine Timber returning later and Arteta suddenly having three high-level options competing for the right-sided defensive role. Instead of being a temporary emergency signing, Konsa could become part of Arsenal's long-term defensive rotation. And there is another important element: experience. Arsenal are no longer rebuilding. They are defending the Premier League title and attempting to compete for every major trophy. That changes the type of player they should recruit. A young prospect might have enormous potential, but Arsenal needs someone who can walk into the team tomorrow if necessary. Konsa fits that description. The challenge is the price. A £60 million plus transfer for a defender approaching his 30s would represent a significant financial commitment. Arsenal have shown throughout this window that they are willing to spend heavily when they believe a player can transform the squad, but they have also demonstrated that they will walk away when valuations become unreasonable. That is why the reported gap between Arsenal and Villa has been such an important part of the story. Sky Sports recently reported that Villa were holding out for more than £60 million after Arsenal's lower offer was rejected. Yet there may be circumstances that could encourage Villa to negotiate. Aston Villa have already experienced considerable movement in their squad this summer, while the club continues to operate within the financial pressures of modern elite football. Konsa is valuable, but if Arsenal are prepared to move closer to Villa's valuation and the player genuinely wants the transfer, the situation could become difficult for Unai Emery's side. The reported willingness of Konsa to consider Arsenal would therefore be significant. For Arsenal, the question is not whether Konsa is good enough. He clearly is. The question is whether Arsenal believe his versatility, experience and immediate availability justify paying Villa's premium. There is also another name Arsenal are considering, Ezri Konsa. Recent reports indicate that Arsenal have opened discussions with Bayer Leverkusen over the England international as they search for defensive reinforcement. Konsa is younger at 23 and reportedly valued around £43 million, making him potentially more attractive from a long-term financial perspective. That creates an intriguing decision for Arteta and Berta. Konsa represents proven Premier League quality and immediate reliability. Konsa represents youth, potential and a potentially lower fee. For a team trying to win immediately, Konsa may have the advantage, and that is the key phrase: win immediately. Arsenal have already spent years developing young players and building the foundations of Arteta's project. Now the club has reached the stage where every recruitment decision must support trophy-winning ambitions. The injury to Saliba has made the situation urgent. Arsenal cannot afford to start the season hoping that Gabriel can remain fit for every match, while inexperienced or makeshift alternatives fill the gaps. The Premier League is unforgiving, and the Champions League is even less forgiving. A defender such as Konsa could give Arteta something extremely valuable: certainty, and that could explain why Arsenal appear willing to continue negotiations despite the price. If the reported £60 million to £65 million agreement materialises, Arsenal supporters may initially question whether the club has overpaid. But the true value of the transfer would only become clear over the course of the season. If Konsa helps Arsenal maintain their defensive standards while Saliba recovers, plays important Champions League matches and eventually becomes a dependable rotation option even after Saliba returns, the investment could make perfect sense. Arsenal are not merely buying a replacement. They could be buying another piece of a squad designed to compete on every front. And while the defensive story is developing, something even more explosive is happening at the other end of the pitch. Arsenal have now discussed Victor Osimhen with Galatasaray. That could change everything. While the Ezri Konsa situation is about solving an immediate defensive crisis, Arsenal's reported discussions over Victor Osimhen introduce a completely different possibility: a superstar striker arriving to take the attack to another level. According to The Telegraph, Arsenal and Galatasaray have discussed Osimhen's availability during negotiations involving Gabriel Martinelli and Ethan Nwaneri. Crucially, it remains unclear whether Arsenal initiated the conversation about Osimhen or whether Galatasaray raised the possibility themselves. There is also no indication yet that Arsenal have submitted a formal bid. That distinction is extremely important. Arsenal talking about Osimhen does not mean Osimhen is about to sign, but it does mean the Nigerian striker is now part of Arsenal's transfer conversation. And that alone is enormous. Osimhen has been linked with the Premier League for several years. Chelsea came closest to signing him in 2024, but the transfer never happened, and he eventually moved from Napoli to Galatasaray permanently for a reported €75 million. Since arriving in Turkey, he has continued to demonstrate why Europe's biggest clubs have repeatedly pursued him. His combination of speed, power, aerial ability, movement and finishing makes him one of the most dangerous centre-forwards in European football. For Arsenal, the attraction is obvious. Victor Gyökeres already gives Arteta a physical reference point in attack, but Osimhen would offer another completely different dimension. He attacks space aggressively, threatens defenders in behind, and is extremely dangerous in the air. Most importantly, he is a striker who can turn half chances into goals. That matters because Arsenal have often dominated possession and territory, but faced opponents who defend extremely deeply. Against those teams, having a striker capable of attacking crosses, winning physical battles and finishing difficult opportunities can make the difference. Osimhen could potentially provide exactly that. The financial side, however, is complicated. Reports suggest Galatasaray would demand a substantial fee, potentially well above £50 million, while other reporting has indicated that the Turkish champions have resisted enormous approaches for their striker. Therefore, Arsenal would have to decide whether another major attacking investment makes sense after already spending heavily this summer, but there is an interesting twist. Galatasaray want Arsenal players. The Turkish club have shown significant interest in Gabriel Martinelli, with reports of an offer worth around £38 million to £38.5 million. Martinelli is reportedly reluctant to move to Turkey and would prefer to remain in London. Ethan Nwaneri has also attracted interest. That creates the possibility of negotiations becoming interconnected. Arsenal could potentially sell players to Galatasaray while simultaneously discussing Osimhen's availability. It does not necessarily mean there will be a swap deal, and supporters should not assume one is imminent, but it does give both clubs reasons to maintain an open dialogue. From Arsenal's perspective, the bigger question is what happens to their attacking hierarchy. The club have already targeted elite players this summer and have shown an ambition to build an attack capable of challenging for the Champions League. If Julian Alvarez remains unavailable because Atletico Madrid refuse to negotiate, Arsenal need alternative options. Osimhen is certainly an alternative at the highest level, and there is a major tactical argument in his favour. Arteta wants his team to attack from different angles. Arsenal can construct attacks through midfield, use wide players, overload the half spaces, and deliver crosses from advanced fullbacks. A striker like Osimhen gives every one of those approaches greater value. Crossing becomes more dangerous because there is a dominant aerial target. Through balls become more dangerous because Osimhen can accelerate behind defenders. Counter-attacks become more dangerous because his speed allows Arsenal to transition rapidly. Even long passes become more useful because his physical strength enables him to compete against centre-backs. In other words, Osimhen would not simply add goals, he would change the geometry of Arsenal's attack. That is why this story deserves attention. At the same time, there are legitimate concerns. Osimhen has had injury problems during his career, and Arsenal would need to manage his workload carefully. His disciplinary record has also occasionally created problems. Signing a superstar does not automatically guarantee success. Arteta would have to integrate him into a dressing room that already contains established attacking personalities. But Arsenal are now operating at a level where these are problems worth solving. The club want depth. They want competition. They want players capable of deciding the biggest matches. Konsa and Osimhen represent two completely different recruitment philosophies, yet together they demonstrate what Arsenal are trying to build. Konsa could strengthen the defensive floor of the squad. Osimhen could raise the attacking ceiling. One could protect Arsenal from Saliba's absence. The other could potentially transform their goal-scoring threat. And that is why this could become one of the most important periods of Arsenal's summer. The latest information suggests the Konsa negotiations are moving toward a critical stage, although competing reports mean the transfer should not yet be treated as officially completed. Meanwhile, Arsenal's discussions with Galatasaray over Osimhen have opened a door that few supporters expected to see this late in the window. There is still a long way to go, but Arsenal are clearly not finished. The defensive injuries have forced the club to act, and the attacking ambitions have created another opportunity. If Arsenal can complete the right defensive signing without damaging their financial flexibility, then pursue an elite striker only if the conditions make footballing and economic sense. Arteta could begin the season with one of the deepest squads in Europe. For Arsenal fans, that is the real story. The club are no longer satisfied with simply having a strong starting 11. They are trying to build a squad capable of surviving injuries, competing across multiple competitions, and maintaining the intensity required to defend a Premier League title. Ezri Konsa could be the answer to the defensive problem. Victor Osimhen could be the surprise solution to the attacking one. And if both moves somehow become reality,